Hi guys, welcome to this video tutorial. This is a Fusion 360 tutorial on creating beautiful bundles of cables. So it's quite a simple concept, but it's very useful to know how to do this. So I will be teaching you how to make this load of mess. At the bottom, you can see that I have a panel which I currently coded in AutoIt, so it should show the letters, the keys on my keyboard which I'm currently pressing. It's extremely buggy at the moment, so yeah, I have not finished this remotely, and it's kind of a code nightmare. Probably some mistakes in there, no doubt. Anyway, so hopefully that just gives you some sort of indication of any hotkeys I forget to mention that I use. So for example, I press L a lot of times to start a sketch, even though I am not necessarily using a line. Anyway, so let's get straight into the video. So to create a cable, what we need to do is create a path essentially. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it in the old-fashioned way, so in 2 dimensions. So I'm going to select one of these planes, so I'm going to select this one. Next, I'm going to select the spline tool, and I'm just going to draw some random shape, just for video sake. If this was for something like a device that you wanted to fit a cable, then you'd make something a little bit more thought out. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is making sure for this instance, for this example, 3D Sketch is off, which it should be by default. What I'm going to do is work orthogonally, which means I'm going to work in discrete kind of angles, so front, right, and I'm not going to work in like in between angles like this, because it would just end up just will not be working out for you. You'll find that out if you ever try. Whenever you move a point, it will actually it won't be remotely what you thought it was. So if you work orthogonally, this essentially avoids it. So for now, I'm going to select the front face. Now this can be a little difficult as well, so I kind of gonna have to be a bit of a liar and go a bit halfway. So essentially what I'm going to do is select the selection tool, and we're going to hit M for move. As first select one of the points, so we're going to say this one here. Select M, select the point, and now we're just going to give this some random translation. So this will bring it out of its 2-dimensional state into 3D. We're going to do the same thing here. And I think I have which is being blocked by that, I think I have a setting turned off. I need to select back on. Incremental snap. I think that's the one I wanted. So we want to move another point, select M. Just mess around with it. Go back orthogonally. Now we can sort of do the rest orthogonally. So I'm starting one that's got a constraint. Let's try this one here. And move this up. Let's move this here about. This one, there we go. So we can move maybe this one as well, which is actually constrained, I believe. Yeah, you can see this one is constrained by the origin using this coincident constraint. So what you can do to avoid that is you can, not do that. You can select it and hit delete. Now, if we go back to the front view, we can make sure we actually have the pointer, not the path, because it's very difficult. Press M and we should be able to move it wherever we like. So that looks okay for now. This is only a rough example. So now what we want to do is finish the sketch and go to construction and create a path, a plane along a path. This is the path. We're going to set this to 0. And we're going to hit L, or you could create sketch. I'm going to hit L because it's just what I do. And I'm going to select this work plane. So now we're going to create our cable. So let's say I want a 2 mil. Let's draw, if we hit X, or we can click construction. If you draw just a little line, this will help us out. We can create our cable. So let's turn off construction by hitting X. Let's make a 3 mil cable. My Fusion has a problem because I'm using Windows 7, so we're going to have to type it again. Now what we can do is we can say, actually what we can do after that is go to circular pattern. Now let's create a pattern and make the center point the origin. My phone's going off in the background there. And something like 6 cables. Now what we can do is use the tangent constraint and set that like that. As you can see, the borders of the shape went from a blue, which means it's not fully defined, which is not something we should keep like that. Blue means we're missing dimensions which constrain it. So if I put back the tangent constraint, this means it's fully defined because it's black and we cannot move it. So after that, what we're going to do is go to create and sweep. Now I'm going to select the path for each of these, holding shift. Something happened here. Let's press exit on the path, and for the path we're going to select our blue line. Might take a second because it's quite a few profiles here. Fusion likes to do this nice black bar thing, which is always doing it for some reason. But don't click. Okay, so we have our cables. Now, cables in real life tend to be, as you can see here, we have a line we should have moved, but we can do something about that afterwards. But yeah, so essentially this is intersecting, but we can fix that afterwards. Anyway, what I was saying about the twist angle. So cables tend to be a bit twisted in real life. So a single twist, we can put 360. We get a single twist, which will take... yeah, so the thing that I mentioned before has actually become a problem. So what I'm going to do... There we go. That shouldn't be a problem no more. If we go back to sweep, select our profiles. You don't need to select control or shift or whatever. Now select the path. Select our path. Also, it might be worth noting is if the angle is too steep, you'll very likely get this intersection error as you saw me just get last. If that ever happens, you should try and soften any extreme angles that you may have. Such like this is quite a drastic angle. If that happens, you're going to have to soften it by moving it about. It's something that comes with experience. So I'm going to click OK for now. Okay, so we need to fix that. So sorry, this thing's in the way, so I can't see it. I'm going to have to rethink that out for next time. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller so that I can get past that. So we need to go back to this, and Wrong one. It's actually the first sketch here. I made a mistake. So as you can see, the problem is in the middle we cross essentially in a very too close to the other spline path. So you can see this is quite an extreme angle up here, so I'm going to just soften that by doing something like that. That should be okay. We're going to click Finish Sketch. This is the beauty of being in a parametric workspace. We can go back in time and we can make any adjustments, and Fusion 360 will essentially update to our new settings. You can see I've got the same sort of problem here. I'm just gonna press M. We're gonna move this down a bit. Click Finish Sketch. So you can see we finally got one that doesn't intersect finally. So as I was saying about the twist angle, we can go back into sweep. And Fusion's going to do its little dance again. So now in the twist angle we can put 360, which means one twist throughout the entire path length. And this always takes a long time to do, so you just have to be patient. So as you can see, we have a single twist down the entire length, which is almost a bit too difficult to see. So what we can do in this text box, we can actually do multiplication. So using the asterisk sign, we can times that twist by 2. And then Fusion will go off, make a really slow. There we go. Fusion's going to take about an hour to do it. Yep, it's going to crash as well almost. So as you can see, after two twists, we have 2 twists somewhere in there. So we can click OK. Once it loads again, possibly because I have Photoshop in the background, it's going to load again. So yes, I'm going to wait for that. So you can see now it's loaded. What we can do is either add the conductor of this cable, or my favorite part is coloring the cable. So we can hit the key on the keyboard, A, for appearance. So I'm going to look for different typical color cables. So I'm going to start off with red. I'm going to look for a red, glossy red. And what we're going to do is, because it's in one body, which we might have done it differently where we're all separate bodies, but I chose to do it as one body. So what I'm going to do is select faces. So now I can apply to individual faces like this. So let's say we want a blue. Let's type in blue. If it doesn't exist, we can create our own from one of these presets, but at the moment they do exist in what we want. Let's try green, green, plastic. Let's try I don't know, orange. Okay, orange doesn't exist, so what we can do is duplicate that one. We can edit this and we can make orange ourselves. So we should have a kind of a pale orange there, but we can add our orange there. We can do the same thing again. Let's make a purple. It's a bit of a strange color for a cable, but there's a purple. Let's do it one more time, and let's create a nice cyan. It's pretty ugly. Let's put it on there. So we got oh, I think we're missing a couple more. Okay, I'm going to be lazy and let's reuse the green, which doesn't appear to have worked. Let's try reusing the blue. Yeah, that works. Let's reuse the purple. Pretty lazy. Anyway, so let's say we are happy with that. We can actually do a render afterwards. But before that, I do want to make a conductor as well. So what I'm going to do is hit C or L or one of those shortcut keys for creating a circle or sketch. I use C or L a lot of the time. And I'm going to select one of these faces. And the beauty is we only need to do it once, and then we can create a circular pattern. So let's make the circle here means it's the center of the circle. We can create, let's say we're going to make it 1.5 mil. This is a pretty typical conductor size in real life. And let's say we're going to extrude it by about 20 mil. I already have my unit set up as millimeter, as you might have noticed. Let's zoom back in. Okay, that's a little bit too long. Let's try 10, which is fine. We can select join, which will make it all part of the cable, which is what we want. You can see it is one because it's stated as just that one body. But now what we can do is we can color it beforehand if we want. Let's go down to copper. So I'm going to say polished copper. And again, we need to select faces. And I'm going to select polished copper. And select it on there. We're going to do the same thing here. We can even press F to fillet this surface here. Just a little bit, but this is not really necessary. 0.5 should be enough, but because it's a different face, we need to press A again, and we need to drag that polished copper onto this face as well. Okay, so now what we can do is go to circular pattern, and we're going to select this feature and this feature. And the axis is going to be, well, it's not going to be that. But what it's going to be is, if we go back to our sketches from before, what we can do is, what we can do is turn on back the old sketch, and it keeps going off. Okay, sorry about that. I had to pause to work it out, because normally we have a circle to to create a pattern around, but in this case we don't. So what I did to overcome that is to create a sort of an axis manually. So what I did is select one of these faces, and we're going to project this face, the opposite, and just like that. That should be enough. So now we can draw a line from here to here. Press escape and draw a line from here to here. Now we can go to create point, and we can select a point in the middle there. So what we can do with that point is go to construct and select create a axis perpendicular to face at point. So we can select any one of these faces, and we can select this point. And you can see we've created an axis that we can use to create a pattern around. So if you go to circular pattern, we can select the features we want to pattern, and go to axis and select that axis. So now we change that to the same amount of faces. That was 6, and we can see we got perfect pattern in the center of each face. We can now zoom out. We can have a look at what this looks like in the render workspace. Normally it looks a lot better in the render workspace. Like that. We can go to render. We could set it up, the scene settings, but I think we don't need anything too crazy. Probably just rim highlights. Double click that, it's already selected. We can select any of these if you like, maybe white. That's great. I normally have this 90 is fine. You can zoom in as well if you want. It's really up to you. Okay, so if we click render, we need to save this first. So cable tutorial, and we're going to click render. We just need to give it a moment for it to save. Is it ready now? Okay, that's not the one we want. We could use that, that's up to you. But I like to use the in-canvas render, which is just a bit simpler. I can use this setting here. Just give this a moment, and Fusion will begin to essentially go through various passes to render this. Now you can control this slider here. The more you go towards infinite, the better the quality and the more passes it will do. So I'm just gonna excellent for this tutorial, will be fine. I'm just gonna pause the video and then we'll resume when it's ready. So you can see that Fusion has got to excellent, but it's still quite a bit grainy. So I will just put this up to final and pause it now to see how much better it gets. So you can see Fusion has refined it a little bit more. Now what I'm gonna do is go to scene settings and change the light, because it is pretty much a crap light right now. I'm gonna just go to something which is probably better, because that was a little dark. We can essentially change it with the settings here, the brightness or the exposure, but a lot of the time I'm a little lazy and I choose to go straight to just do a different lighting setup. So as you can see, it's created some very nice glossy looking cables. So we can go back in design and we can turn off the sketch 4. If we press control 4, we can see without any lines. I'll go back to control 6 to turn them back on. So yeah, I hope that helped. You can use this sort of idea, which I will probably cover more later in different tutorials, but you can use this idea to connect cables in, say if you had different electronic devices, you could create the cables to show off how they are connected. So yeah.